Well, good morning, Kelowna. And what a beautiful day. I came to the station this morning without a jacket. Just said, couldn't find my jacket. I must be out in the workshop or something.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I'll just hop in the truck. And it's just so balmy outside. It's very nice for December. For December 16th, it is, or is it 16th? 15th today.
15th,
It is incredibly warm, and it's kind of nice.
It is. It's nice, but it's a little weird. I still think there's going to be some white stuff for Christmas.
We've had this before, Ken. This is not brand new. I mean, you get long in the tooth like me, and you'll remember Christmases where it was you're out in shirt sleeves and planting cedars and, whatever.
You just can't predict it. That's the thing. Some years I always think, geez, should we shut down or should we just keep on going? And then...
Then all of a sudden, bang.
And then all of a sudden...
Keep on going and oops.
Middle of November or even often, the end of October you can get hit, shut right? Down, so we've got an extra 2 months of fall here. It's been just a treat.
It has been. And the next treat will be our tips and plants of the week.
You betcha.
My tip of the week is to have a close look under the leaves of plants, in particular the ones that you brought in from outside. Mm-hmm. Things can sneak up on you. Let me tell you, I was just looking under a brugmansia in my greenhouse. And you know why I looked under it, Ken? Because the leaves were kind of sticky looking.
Yeah.
They're a little shiny.
Something suspicious.
When you see shiny leaves, whoops, something's going on. So you'll turn the leaf upside down. Yes, there are aphids under that leaf.
There was aphids. Yeah, I had some aphids on mine as well.
So we clean that up.
Yep.
A very environmentally friendly cleanup, right?
Yep.
Plant of the week this week, and it's weird because this is December 15th, 2018, and I have a grape hyacinth in full bloom in my garden. And the grape hyacinth normally would be blooming in
the spring.
In March. And however, this is not global warming. Everybody's, there's global warming. No, what this is, Ken, is the fact that we got it from Brian Minter in a dish garden in February on our trip last year.
Right.
And we planted, after it finished and everything, I planted it out in the garden.
Right.
So it got confused. And now it thinks it's spring. And so here it is, beautiful weather, and it thinks it's spring. There we go.
These plants are a little mixed up.
Yep.
All right. I also have a tip and a plant. And my tip of the week is that after any windstorms, it's a good idea to go out and check for damage in your trees. I've been mentioning that a few times. The more places I go, the more I look up. I look into the trees and I see branches that are just hanging or dangling or broken. And we were supposed to have a big windstorm last night. It did not happen. It went to the U.S. And it's something you have to do whenever you do have a windstorm, is get out and have a look up into the trees and see what's going on. Make sure there's nothing dangerous going on. My plant of the week this week is the grand fir, which is one of the most fragrant Christmas trees that you can have. It's a relatively common now. I remember when it was a special treat to get a grand fir, but now they're fairly common, and they're a beautiful, fragrant tree, and one of the nice ones. There's a lot of nice Christmas trees. The noble fir is also a beautiful Christmas tree. That's my tips and plans for this week. Remember to check KelownaGardens.com.
Thank you, Ken. Grand fir is a beautiful, beautiful Christmas tree. There's no question about it.
So fragrant, isn't it?
Very fragrant. Smells quite lemony, actually.
They're just lovely.
Lovely fir. And a lot of the trees you'll see right now are Douglas firs.
Yes.
Because that's the most popular. And it's not a fir.
That's right.
It's a Pseudotsuga menziesii is what it is.
That's right. It's its own individual genera.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway, on that note, we should tell people that coming up next week is our very special shoe, a really big shoe, as Ed Sullivan would say, a really big shoe. So stay tuned for that. We're going to have some guests on, and we're going to stretch it out to 3 hours. A stretched out garden show, 3-hour garden show. We haven't done that before. We've talked about it many times at Christmas time. When we do the Christmas special, the family garden show, what happens is we get through it, and we're just racing at the end to get everything in, and it's not relaxed. And so we want to relax this year. Yep. We're going to relax and go through a nice 3-hour garden show.
And hopefully a few extra tunes we can play if we're lucky.
Yeah, we'll play some tunes. I was thinking of playing, there's a couple of, I've got a couple of CDs that bands that I've been in have put out over the years, and we'll play a couple of those tunes. For sure, Valdi's going to phone in, our good friend Valdi from Sunshine Coast, or not, pardon me, from Salt Spring Island. And Brian Minter's going to call in. Got a number of people that are going to call in, and looking forward to that. Well, how about you calling in, folks? 250-862-2525 to get through to Ken and I this morning. We're here to answer your gardening questions and your indoor plant questions, and anything you like to talk about is open business today, because that's what we're here for. We enjoy being here. We've been here now. This is our 1,002nd show. We had our 1,000th show a couple of weeks ago, which was kind of exciting.
Yeah,
and
that was awesome.
Total of 1,674 shows, since 1983 we've been on the air. And we enjoy coming here. Ken and I are old pals. We've both business-wise and friendship-wise and music-wise and all sorts of wises. We've wised together. Yes, and since we met, and I remember the day we met very clearly. And it seems like yesterday, but it was darn near. Well,
it was a long
darn
time.
Near 30. It was 30 years ago. Eh?
Yeah,
over 30 years ago. It was like 30, 32, 33 years ago.
I would have to have the calculator.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a long time ago. We met and have enjoyed each other's company ever since. I've learned a lot from Ken. He was a young punk when I met him.
Yep, young punk.
Just a young kid.
Fresh out of. Well, actually, yeah. Those were good days. But just finished managing a garden center out in the East Kootenays, out in the Cranbrook area, and then wanted to move to the Okanagan, where it's sunny and beautiful, and it's been a great move. It stuck.
It brought a lot of knowledge to the community, Ken, and it was very, very, very cool to have you with us. What was it? The weather that brought you here, or was it just a change of atmosphere?
It was horticulture. Because
chase a girl here.
The horticulture was the thing, right? Because that's, I knew, it didn't take much to understand what was going on in the Kelowna area and the Okanagan with all the fruit growing, and the grapes, and you name it. There's a lot going on. So
why Kelowna, not Victoria, for instance?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I went to Victoria quite a few times, especially when I was in horticulture school, right? And it was good. It was interesting, but
too wet. It's not as wet in Victoria as it is in Vancouver, but
no. I like the Okanagan.
I do too.
They call it the sunny Okanagan.
Yeah, I was born and raised here. The Canada's Hawaii, as they used to call it.
Yeah.
When they had Murray Purvis had the Hawaiian store right at the called the Grass Shack.
Oh yeah.
And it was right at the other end of the bridge, where the Pier Marine pub used to be.
Yeah.
It's called the Grass Shack.
Yeah.
And Murray Purvis owned it, and she was good friends with my mom and dad. And she also, she went to Hawaii every winter, and she'd get a bunch of stuff and bring it back and sell it at the Grass Shack. And she'd call it Kelowna, Canada's Hawaii. And, well, there we go. A little bit of history there. And the other thing that I wanted to mention here is that next week is going to be the shortest day of the year. Going to be the very shortest day.
It'll be actually the day we have our show, which is the 22nd, of course.
Short day. And the fact is, our days are only getting shorter by seconds now. Like they're pretty much the same every day by seconds, and then they start getting longer ever so gradually. And by the time we hit February, they really start jumping. Like, 10, 15 minutes a day, they get longer. 20 minutes a day, longer every day. So every week you're looking at quite a number of minutes. My brain's hurting just thinking about it, but
it's too early in the morning.
But it's fascinating how that works. And I was thinking the other night too, how many times have been with these sunny days we've been having recently? How many days when you're driving home and you're facing west, and you're driving along and the sun is right down there, and it's just poking right at you.
I'm usually driving east.
Well, good for you, because I've been driving west, and I'm getting that sunshine right in my face. And there was a couple of times there where I literally had to stop the car in a roundabout. I couldn't see what was going on. It was just blinding me. And I stopped the car, and 15 cars banged into the back of me.
You need some cool, cheap sunglasses.
Yeah, I know. I know. I hate sunglasses. Anyway. There we go. We're going to take a short break here, and we invite your calls, 250-862-2525 on this, just these, what they call I'll tell you what they call it. It's just one show before the last show of the year. So there we go. The pentultimate, the pentultimate show. This is the pentultimate show, right?
There you go.
And we'll take a break. We'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. This is Don and Ken, the Flower Pot Men. talking to you about gardening and about everything else to do with Kelowna and surrounding area and history and all that stuff. We enjoy that. And next week, as we say, our Christmas family garden show is going to go on. That show started the very first year we were on the air in 1983. The reason we call it a Christmas family garden show is because by the time Christmas 83 came along, it was just me and Greg Cooper. Mm-hmm. In fact, Greg Cooper might even phone in for a bit, on next week.
That'd be nice.
And so it was me and Greg Cooper at CKOV, and decided that the show just before Christmas we would bring on our family. We had Mom come on, and my dad came on, and my brother came on, Al came on. My sister was not in town, so she wasn't on the air, but it was Mom and Dad and Al, and Dad sang a song, and then we played a couple of his tunes as well on his CD.
It was the Burnett family show.
Yeah, Burnett
Family Christmas.
Show. Yeah, and Mom would read a poem.
Mm-hmm.
So I might get my sister to read a poem.
Yeah,
this year, because Joan's going to be with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get her to read a poem on the air just in memory of Mum. Yeah. So anyway, that's how it started. And then every Christmas we did the same thing. And of course, from 83 to 95, that was what we did. We had Mum and Dad on with us. And in 95, my mom had a stroke, and that sort of put an end to all of that. But Ken and I still put on a family Christmas garden show. And we have a little spirit of the Burnetts that have passed away and whatnot. We have their spirit with us, and just having, and a lot of callers, that have called in over the years are not with us anymore. So it's for their benefit too. So that's why it's called Christmas Family Garden Show, and that's what's happening next week. And we've got all sorts of friends phoning in, and you'll be able to phone in and say hello. You don't have to ask a gardening question. You just phone in and say, hi, how you doing? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year and all that stuff. Yeah. And, so I grew up in a family that Christmas was pretty big, pretty important, partly because we were in the flower industry, and we were busy people at Christmas time. It wasn't like let's relax for a few days before Christmas. No,
it was
none of that.
Flat out.
Yeah. In fact, Dad and I would be delivering flowers Christmas morning. Yeah. Some people weren't home at night, and it was cold. You couldn't leave it on the porch. You couldn't just leave. Like if it was this kind of weather, you could almost leave some of the plants on the stoop and have them come back.
As long as it doesn't sit overnight.
Well, that's right. Yeah. And so Christmas morning, we were out there. We'd phone around. Oh, are you home this morning? Yes, we are. Well, we'll bring your flowers. And Dad and I'd get in the car, and we'd do our Christmas deliveries and come home to a kitchen smelling like turkey. and Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
I always had Brussels sprouts, and I always had sweet potatoes. Mom would put sweet potatoes together that were just incredible.
And were you doing Christmas trees? When did you start doing Christmas trees in a big way? Because it seemed like to me it was in the later 80s sort of thing.
In a big way. Al and I used to go up to my cousin Murray Howarth's place. This is Jim Howarth, there's Jim Howarth Jewelers, had two sons, Doug and Murray. And Murray had a farm up in Vernon, and we would go up and take the old 1971 ton and go up. And the first year, we made a big mistake, Ken. We were out cutting Christmas trees, and we cut them and then tied them into a bundle, right? And then we each had a big, huge bundle of Christmas trees, and we put a rope on them and a little harness, and we drug them out of the bush behind us. Like each one of us had this bundle. We got back to the truck, and we realized we'd ground all the needles and everything off the one side of the bundle. So half the trees in the bundle were sort of Charlie Brown half trees. Anyway, we learned our lesson from that. We didn't do that anymore. We made a little sleigh, actually, a little sled or sleigh, and we pulled them out on that. But,
back when we used to have snow. Remember that?
Yeah, we had snow.
Remember that?
And and so we did that, and we also had, I think, the Boy Scouts or the Boys Club or the Boy Scouts used to sell trees through our garden center back in the 70s, and we helped raise funds with that. But no, you're right. It was sort of the mid 80s when we started getting into trees and bringing them in numbers. And at the end of the day, we sold a lot of trees.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of trees going out of Burnett's at that time. And we had them all displayed so nicely, and we had them all over the place. We had trees out in the nursery. We had trees underneath the fertilizer shed. We had trees up and down the breezeway there. We had trees all over. And then we would flock trees.
Yes, I recall. I remember setting up the flocking machine to get that beautiful snow effect.
Snow white flocking.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I wonder if the two of us will be someday in some room in some hospital trying to breathe because of all the dust.
Yeah, all the flocking.
I tell you, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't think it was very healthy, but it was okay. We wore masks.
Yeah, and we had some fun too along the way. Yeah, I remember.
Fun. Yeah, so there we are. Christmas is around the corner, and there's all sorts of things like trees and like plants and things that you're going to have that are related to horticulture, and that's why we're talking about it. This is the Garden Show, the AM 1150 Garden Show, and coming up here is another break time, which is what we're going to do, but we do invite your calls, 250-862-2525, and we'll talk to you about anything you'd like to talk about when we come back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Are back with you on the AM 1150 Garden Show, and 250-862-2525 to get through to us. And we have Ariel joining us. Good morning, Ariel.
Oh, good morning, you lovely men, and Merry Christmas to both of you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too.
I have an interesting thing. I had a nice jade plant. It was growing very nicely, and it was about, 8 inches tall, and my cat knocked it off onto the floor, and everything broke.
Right.
And I thought, and I sort of wanted to get interested in bonsai. And so I've been doing a little bit of research, and so many different things out there, but what would you suggest that I do to start learning about how to do this with, like what I've got going on with my plants that I've sort of just stuck in the soil and hoping they're going to come back, the ends of them and all that?
Well, bonsai is a fabulous hobby to get into, and we have a wonderful bonsai club in the Okanagan, so if you ever really wanted to get serious and have some fun with people that are thinking the same way, you should join the club, okay? Now, second,
and how do you join the club?
Well, I can give you that information. If there's somebody from the bonsai club that happens to be listening, give us a call, and we'll get that number out there. However, if you, Ariel, if you contact me, Dawn, at thegardenexpert.com, I will get you a number to call. Now, next thing is you have to decide with bonsai, and Ken should be talking here because you're the bonsai guy, but there's two basic types of bonsai. There's indoor bonsai and outdoor bonsai, okay? And that means like if you're going to do a little pine or a little spruce or a little beech or some kind of tree or shrub or plant that normally would be growing outdoors in the Okanagan, that's an outdoor bonsai, and you have to keep them outdoors even through the winter. As they go dormant, you bury the pot in some sawdust or mulch and keep them outside because that's where they want to be. If you bring them inside, they get all confused and they quite often will die. An indoor bonsai is a tropical plant.
Yeah, and that jade plant that you talked about is one that is sometimes bonsai'd. And you make a little bit larger bonsai. So a bonsai is sort of a miniature of a giant tree in a setting, like on a hillside or something. So it's it's one of these things that any plant that you could select that would have that sort of a thicker than normal stem for a shorter plant, that would be a good plant to start with. And so the jade plant is actually not a bad one because jade plants, they should be quite dry through the winter months. And if you happen to go away and leave it for 2 or 3 weeks, it actually survives. A lot of bonsais, they need care, like watering every day or two, sometimes 3 days apart for your watering. So they're pretty, they need a pretty consistent care. But the more you go into these sort of cacti or succulent species, it's easier on you. So it's a good choice.
Okay, so that tells me where to sort of start, but how do I begin to do that process with these things?
First thing you might do is find an appropriate bonsai container. They have a good large hole in the bottom with good drainage, and usually what you do is you put a little screen over the hole to stop any soil from falling out of the pot. But usually the hole in the bottom of a bonsai pot is quite big, and then you use do you use regular potting soil, Ken, or would you use something special?
Oh, yeah. No, you just use regular potting soil. But the key is when you do buy a bonsai container, you'll find if you go into a garden shop, they usually have a section where they have bonsai containers, or at least they used to, when it was a little more popular. But they're normally like a rectangular, short, flat tray almost. So they'd be about 2 to 3 inches tall, but maybe 12 inches by 6 inches, sort of thing, rectangular. And that's where you put your plant. So if you have a tiny, tiny little plant, like a little jade plant like you have, then you would just select a smaller pot to start with. And you could keep it very tiny like that. Part of this whole thing with bonsai is just restricting the amount of root growth that you can have, so it kind of stunts and manages controls the growth of the plant.
So before you put it into one of those pots that you're talking about, flat pots, and I've seen them, definitely I have. Then you would want to put it into a little pot, a little tiny pot. Is that it?
Well, just anything that you have is fine. Like a 6-inch pot or so would be fine. Depends on the size of the plant. If you have a plant that's in a 4-inch pot, that's fine. If it's 6-inch, that's okay. It all depends on the size of that plant. With plants that are top heavy, like a jade plant, and that's particularly a plant that's going to be top heavy. So you need to have a reasonable sized pot. Ideally, it's clay so that it holds itself up. But the other thing with jade plants at this time of year is they don't grow much. They don't root very much, and they're kind of slowing down through the winter months. And in the springtime is the ideal time to transplant into a bonsai pot. So you might think about that, just keeping it kind of alive till spring, and then potting.
Okay. Well, I've got like I said, I've got about 6 cuttings, and they're all about 4 inches.
Yeah.
The branches broke off and that.
That's right. So I'll just break in here. The fact is that's what I was thinking you would be doing so on a little cutting. You're right. You got to start with a very small pot and grow it into that small pot before you put it into a large pot. But if it was the larger portion of the plant you were trying to bonsai, which is kind of fun to do, and I think that's the line Ken was going down, and it's a large plant. Then you got that big, huge, fat base to start with, and put it into a decent sized pot, and you can bonsai that big plant too.
Well, I guess I could go buy a plant like that, but I sort of thought it'd be fun to sort of resurrect these little guys and
well, that's what bonsai is about. Is having fun with it. Buying a complete finished bonsai is okay, but you don't become close to it. Like you just bought somebody else's work is what you've done. And Ken was into bonsai a lot when we were working together at Burnett's. He took advantage of the fact that we had automatic irrigation, and
and thousands of plants to choose from. Yeah. So what I used to do is I would go into the stock wherever the plants are, and I would be looking at the plants, holding them up and looking at them from the side, and looking to see if I could find one that looked like a little old tree. Mm-hmm. And if I could find one that already had sort of a basic trunk and a few branches on it, then that would be a good starting point for bonsai. Then I would collect those together, and then I would collect the pots, and then one day when I had time, I'd put them into the pots. And there's a mounting process where you want sort of a big plant in a smallish, flattish pot. So you wire up through the hole in the bottom and basically wire the plant in so that it doesn't tumble out of the pot. It's one of the secrets of bonsai is that most of the plants are wired into the pot so they can't fall out.
Oh, wow, I'm learning so much here, and I had no idea there was so much to it.
Yeah.
Well, so would I learn this by looking at a book? Because, looking at the net is like here and there, different things.
Yeah. You're getting a good bonsai book is definitely an asset. But you give me a shout over the email, and I'll get you the bonsai number for you, bonsai club number, because they're a great bunch of people, and boy, they love beginners because they just love teaching this stuff because they're so passionate about it, and you'll have some fun with them. They're a great group.
Okay. Well, I will email you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Ariel. Yep. Thanks for calling.
Appreciate the call.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Ken, I was looking up one of my Madagascar is full of beautiful plants, right? Dan Bruce has said he's very fascinated with plants from Madagascar. They were sort of unique in the way that Madagascar, the island of Madagascar, was sort of separate from the mainland of Africa and sort of out in the middle of nowhere. And there are so many unique plants that are unique to Madagascar, including a lot of these euphorbias that we love so much. Some of the crown of thorns and things like that. And they are native to Madagascar. And, of course, the Madagascar dragon tree, the Dracaena marginata, those are all Madagascar plants. And the Madagascar plant that I own, is called a Gibili plant.
Mm-hmm.
And you scrape the bark, and it smells like petroleum. The bark, there's a fragrance that comes from it. It's not like petroleum. Well, it's just a little like petroleum, and that's why it's so unique to me. And every plant has that smell. Quite often when we're trying to identify trees and whatnot, and it's in the middle of winter, we usually look at the bark, we look at the twigs, we look at the buds, we look at that. Sometimes we have to scrape it and give it a little sniff. Poplar has a certain smell, and a maple has another smell.
You know what that often is actually an essential oil that's within the plant. And that's one of the things that's now becoming quite popular, is people use essential oils in their life, and they're sort of a concentrated fragrance from within different species of plants. And of course, there are thousands of plants. But like you say, I remember when we first started learning to identify plants, that was one of the key identifying things, is that when you learn the plant, if you could scratch it and smell that fragrance, it sort of would lock in your memory the name of the plant and everything. It was all, it was part of that identification. And I'm sure we gathered a lot of passion from our passionate instructors, because I remember how passionate they were about making sure that you did smell that plant and scratch the bark and sometimes even taste it almost, but you use all your senses in identifying the plant.
You bet. It's just part of the fascination with plants that we have. And I have looked up this Gibili plant, and I'm going to show it to you at the break here, Ken, and we'll talk about it after we come back. And we're going to take a short break. We invite your calls, 250-862-2525. And we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden. We are here with you for a final 10 minutes or so before the break, and then we've got a whole rip-roaring hour of Garden Show after that. And then next week, we've got our Christmas special, and we're looking so forward to that, having some folks on to chat about things that we do, plants and music and family and just all those kinds of things, Just for interest's sake, folks, if you go to the internet someday and look up Madagascar euphorbia, Madagascar euphorbia, Madagascar, just plants in general, they are incredible. They're so unique, and a lot of them nowadays are used as tropical plants, what we call like tropical house plants.
Yeah, house plants.
Indoor plants for decorating, keeping the house looking tropical. And one of the common ones is that Madagascar dragon tree, or the Dracaena marginata, and there's many different varieties of them, but the Dracaena marginata is that Dracaena that has a striped foliage, and it's one of the more common Madagascar plants. But oh my goodness, there's lots of them. If you look up euphorbia, that's EUPHORBIA, euphorbia Madagascar. I've just pulled it up here, and holy macaroni, that is amazing. The number of euphorbias that are on the map here. Too much fun we're having today, and we're going to go just for a moment. We're going to go back in time to 1950, when Elaine Cameron was out in the garden, and she was out there doing her thing in 1950, on the 16th, the 15th, and the 16th, the mild and rain cleared away snow in the evening. So they had some snow earlier on, but the mild and rain. So we talk about how nice and warm this is. I came to the station with my shirt on, no jacket today. There's hardly any snow in the hills. We look out the window, and
the sun is shining.
Sun's shining. It's just an amazing day. We're having an amazing day. Yep. Get out in the garden, folks. Well,
absolutely.
I mean, at least give it a walk around, see what's going on.
Yeah.
In the greenhouse, I've got some beautiful paperwhites starting to push through, and so I don't think I'm going to make Christmas with them, because they're just starting to come through the ground now. I've actually planted them into soil rather than water and gravel like we often do, and we'll see how they turn out. But back in the day, again, back in 1950, Elaine Cameron is writing in her diary on the 16th, heavy snowfall in the evening, 2 inches of snow, and then on the 16th, she took 3 spider chrysanthemums out of the pots and set them in the greenhouse beds, and then more wet snow in the evening. And then on the 17th, it says snow all gone. Snow's all gone. And dug out 1 dead and 1 live buddleia. Well, I guess you're going to dig them out, because there's no point in having a dead one out there. And and mallow weeds from the Van Fleet Rose. The Van Fleet Rose, and sunny in the afternoon. So the weather wasn't all that much different back then than it is right now. There's quite mild. Snow's melting for her and whatnot. But at this time of year, we can have real rough stuff. And this year, we're not having that. So I always look at winter as being 4 months: November, December, January, February. We're another couple of weeks, and we're going to be through December. So we're halfway through winter. If this weather keeps up through December, we've gone halfway through winter unscathed, pretty much.
Yeah, January is that would be typically cold. Typically,
it's going to get cold.
Yeah, and February can be as well. But you never know. We've had some nice mild winters, and we always enjoy them. That's for sure. Get lots of extra gardening in, and maybe even some planting, some training, lots of pruning. It's good.
Get a little golf in.
Yeah, sometimes golfing.
Yeah. So in January we can get some cold weather, and we often get people phoning in or calling me up and checking, asking me this. My buds are starting to push. What do I do? Well, there's nothing much you can do. You got to roll with it. Quite often back in the old days, when we had the greenhouses and the garden center, the Ministry of Agriculture would bring in clippings from peaches, apricots, apples, and other fruits, and in the spring of the year, after a really cold winter, and to force them on to see if the bloom buds had been burnt or frozen.
Right.
And so they would do that as a check. Nothing much they could do, but they could forecast crop volumes and things like that.
Right.
By having that. And so the folks would come in. It was quite fascinating to watch them do what they have to do. And and you can do that. Actually, you could do that right now with certain things. I don't know if you could do it with peaches, but you could certainly do it with forsythia. If you went outside and cut some forsythia branches and brought them in, you could probably probably force them into bloom.
There's a number of weeks minimum requirement of winter, but we might be getting close.
Yeah, see what happens there. A lot of folks have been forcing bulbs. They're forcing the various tulips and daffodils and narcissus and that. And some of you are probably quite successful right now having them come out for Christmas. It's a little tough getting them to bloom for Christmas unless you start real early and cooling them down early, and then bring them in. They think it's spring. That's called forcing. And then, of course, the other thing is you can force amaryllis, and I'm doing some paperwhites too. Now, we've got another caller just before the break here, and we invite Rick to the show. Or welcome Rick to the show. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
I got a quick question for you. It's probably a pretty simple question for you guys, but if we have a really mild winter, we can start a little earlier in spring. It doesn't affect the plants at all, does it? But we can start a little earlier in spring?
Well, yeah, just the mildness is really just having soil that's not frozen, right? So as long as the soil's not frozen, you can basically plant. The availability of plants is what holds us back sometimes. Is garden centers in our area are stuck on a sort of a game plan that they need to do, and they have ordering dates, and they don't want to be bringing things in too early. Because they obviously, if they bring them in and they're sitting outside or somewhere, where they could get damaged by hard frost, and then we get a really good cold snap, say in March or something, well, then they would be losing a ton of money. And so they're just knowing the history. They want to target the timing sort of for that beginning of April sort of timing. But, when it comes to vegetable crops, food crops, there's a lot of crops you can get in very early, like at the end of February if the weather's nice. And it's just a matter of being able to dig the soil.
And there's it doesn't affect the plants at all if we have a very, very mild winter, does it?
No, not really. The only thing where you run into a little bit of an issue is Don was talking about the buds on fruit trees potentially being frozen. And so what happens there is that they tend to sort of prematurely, let's say they progress. They're progressing and they're maturing too quickly through the winter. And then when you get to the end of February, they're literally ready to pop and bloom. And then what happens, beginning of March, you get a really good cold snap, which isn't common, but it's possible. You get a really good cold snap, and that's what damages those buds because they're too far advanced, and they get nipped by the frost, and that reduces the crops considerably. So that's really the only sort of negative thing is if any of the plants that you have they get too excited and they're moving a little too quickly, and then we have a late frost, which for us would be in the month of March, and you can have a pretty difficult time with a lot of different plants that prematurely bloom.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much, fellas. I'll be looking forward to your program next week.
Well, we're looking forward to having you listen.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks a lot.
Rick. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
bet.
Rick.
Bye-bye.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye-bye.
Yep. And we're getting quite close here. We got 8:56. It looks like by my clock. 8. What is it? Yeah, we're getting close to the break here. I'm continuing on looking at Elaine Cameron's fascinating with Elaine Cameron's diary for December 1950, because 4950 was the coldest winter on record.
Is this 50-51?
This is 50-51. So this is December 1950. They must have thought something is going weird, because the year before they had the coldest winter. The lake froze over. It was just terrible. Apple trees. They were talking about apple trees just cracking in the cold weather. You'd hear them snap, and the power of the cold was just something else on the apple trees. And the walnut trees all got frozen.
Yep, they all died.
They all died in 4950. So I mean, really, there are no walnut trees in the Okanagan. They're much older than that.
Very few. Yeah, that's for sure.
And so. But anyway, here we are in 1950, December, and just going up into Christmas. She's got 20th of December, 1950, finished spireas by the birch and had a bonfire. Earth on the compost pile. She used to layer it, throw some soil into the compost pile, like a yogurt starter. I think that's what she was thinking of. I don't know how effective that is.
Yeah, they've the new information is not to do that.
Not to do that.
Just keep straight compost. Keeps it going faster.
Okay. And so then, of course, on the 23rd, she's cutting down the spirea bushes. Mild and very heavy rain. 23rd of December.
Wow.
24th of December, she cut 4 barrel loads of spirea, mild and foggy. Christmas Day, 1950, Christmas Day, my first Christmas, by the way, Ken. Mild and sunny in the afternoon. Finished the spirea and ivy and had a bonfire. Rudy hauled more manure to the flock. She's got Rudy working on Christmas Day. Here we go. Hauled manure to flocks and come on, Rudy, we got to come in and do some work here. I know it's Christmas, but to the chrysanthemum beds, and I mean, it just has to get done, Rudy. Part of the vegetable plot, and then on the 28th, mild and sunny intervals. Cut the Brussels sprouts. Boron to the nut tree. Boron to the nut tree. That's a trace element. It's very important for growth, and we are getting right down to the short strokes here. We better be careful how much talking I do, but I'm just going to finish up this month before we take our break. And 29th was mild and dull, pruned the forsythia. Mild and sunny on the 30th of December, 1950. Sawed off the forsythia and acacias down by the birch tree. And then on the 31st, New Year's Eve, 1950, New Year's Eve, mild and lovely sunshine. Walked in the fields, but no gardening. Gardened on Christmas Day, but not New Year's Eve, eh? Party animal. Evening visits to the License, the McDougals, and the Hewitsons. So there you have 1950. We're going to take a short break here now, and we're coming back with a whole hour of garden show. And get your questions together, because I'm sure you got some indoor plant questions. You know, you might have something with dropping leaves and things like that. We can explain what's going on there. 250-862-2525 to get through this. We'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Welcome back, folks, and Ken and I are looking forward to February 21st, when we will be having 4 glorious days heading down to Seattle to the Northwest Flower and Garden Show, which is amazing. It's an amazing show, and this year it's celebrating the gardens of the world, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to give us an insight of all the different gardens in the world and the famous gardens. I'm pretty sure Kew will be represented, and probably the Montreal Botanic Gardens. I've been there. It's a fabulous garden, and the Brisbane Botanic Gardens, they'll probably be in there. There's going to be all sorts of gardens celebrated and represented at the show this year. And, of course, the show is 2 days we're at the show. Two days we travel, 2 days we're at the show. And the traveling is not boring. It's lots of fun on that bus. It's the boogie bus to Seattle.
It goes pretty quick because there's lots to talk about and lots to do, and we generally keep people interested.
You bet. And this will be the 15th year that we've been doing this, and we never tire of it. It's always a good trip. And the show itself has several components. The main entrance, of course, is just chock full of huge floral arrangements. This is a contest actually with the local flower shops and Pacific Northwest flower shops, and I'm telling you, some of these floral arrangements are just incredible. So inventive, so outside the box. Some of them, and also a huge display of forced bulbs and primula and streptocarpus and all sorts of things that are on display, a huge display of that. In fact, the fragrance when you walk in there is just, it's spring. It's really amazing.
Yeah, the timing this year is, I think, right on the money. This is one of the good timings. Any timing is good.
Yeah.
The one year when we went down, it was early February, and it was minus 12 in Seattle, which was almost unheard of.
Yeah.
But
it was still a great show, and everybody enjoyed it and whatnot.
Awesome.
But when the weather's mild, relatively mild, it's really makes it special because you can walk out and see a lot of the plant material in Seattle itself blooming is a precursor to it's like the penultimate winter prior to ours. And so anyway, a lot of fun. We are leaving on February 21st, and we'll be back 4 days later. And it's very reasonable. The $719 gets you the 3 nights at the hotel. It gives you the 3 breakfasts and a lunch at Brian Minter's, tickets to the show, the ride down, and just lots of entertainment. And it's a great break for the middle of winter, and I highly recommend it. So you want to give Sun Fun Tours a call for that, Sun Fun Tours, and it's 250-763-6133. And we'll talk more about that. But first off, we're going to get to the phone lines, and we need to do that right now because we have Jane on. Oh, no, not Jane. I'm sorry. Who do we have? We've got Pam. Pam.
There we go.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Pam.
How are you this morning? Nice to hear your voice.
I'm really well, thank you.
Good.
I'm well, but my large Scheffler plant is not. I think what it is suffering from is perhaps called scale.
Oh, yeah.
It has a whole bunch of odd little bumps, I guess, brown bumps on its leaves, and it's quite. Some of the leaves are quite sticky with some sort of stuff that's probably produced by the bugs. And I'm wondering if something like Endol or Trounce would be helpful on it, or do you have other suggestions?
I've had very good success on scale and a cousin mealybug with a product called horticultural oil. It's a mineral oil, and you mix so many. The directions are on the bottle, of course, and you mix that with water and spray. The horticultural oil. Brian Minter turned me on to that many years ago, and that product I've had very good success. Now you can alternate the oil with some Trounce as well. The Trounce has some pyrethrins in it, plus the soap, and that's very effective on the crawlers. It'll get the crawlers because on scale, what we notice is the bumps, right?
Yeah.
But if you take one of those bumps and peel it off and look under a microscope, you'll see egg masses and quite likely crawlers hatching. The tiny, minuscule crawlers. Now, the Trounce is very effective against the crawlers, but it's not that effective against the eggs and the bumps that are protecting them. But the oil seems to penetrate those. The oil seems to get and penetrate underneath the thing. And so a combination of the two, I think, would be my recommendation.
Okay. And now, will those brown bumps? Will I need then to manually remove them, or will they?
You can do that
magically disappear?
If you've got some time to pick away at those things. That's going to help. There's no doubt about that.
Well, there's eggs underneath them. There's potential for eggs underneath those scales. So even if the scale dies, like assuming that it's alive right now, then the eggs are probably already laid underneath them. So if you pick them off, then you're getting rid of those you'll see them little white clusters underneath them. Yes,
I have poked away and noticed that, and I didn't think that the brown bits were just going to magically disappear, but I wasn't sure if removing them was going to help the situation or if it was just cosmetic and busy, because wow, it's a really big plant. And so I'm probably I've never heard of horticultural oil, so thank you for that tip. I will give that a shot.
My other thought is I'm wondering if I might, because the plant is just about 7 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if there would be cause, maybe by February, if I'm not seeing some magical turnaround, amputating some of it and then letting it grow from the beginning without disease. Would that be a crazy measure or something to consider?
That's something, Pam, I've done that with it. I've got a plant in the greenhouse that I couldn't get on top of the whitefly on it. And I said, I don't want you breeding whitefly, and yet I like the plant. It's a jacaranda plant, and I really, really like it, but it was just a whitefly magnet. So I said, you know what? Actually, no, it wasn't that plant. That plant was not a problem. The plant was the what you call that green fruit that you buy that you open up and you make avocado. It's an avocado. Is what it is. An avocado. It's an avocado plant, and it was loaded with flies. So I cut it right down to where there was no buds showing. And it was a good experiment because now it actually has got some adventitious buds happening and shoots coming from a stem that had no buds showing whatsoever. So that was kind of a good experiment. And so I did that, and you're absolutely right. Sometimes you got to grab the bull by the horns and say, you know what, see you later.
Yeah, and that winter project on some of those plants is that sitting down, and what I've done with a plant like that, and like you say, they're so big, and you have to check every single branch, and so it's a winter project, and what you do is I use a little twist tie, put a twist tie on a branch, and then I carefully search all the way up the stem very carefully, and I'm looking for the little brown scales in tiny, tiny ones sometimes that are just forming, and just brushing them off with a little cloth or even just with my fingertips, and then follow all the way down the branch and get every little bit of that branch, and then get ready to move to another one, but leave your little twist tie so you know that branch is done. And then you go to the next branch, and you go through the whole plant like that. You literally get every single branch and every single leaf, and you've removed them. If you see a bunch of little clusters of little ones, you try to physically remove them. But if you don't, you can use that horticultural oil. The bigger, older ones get sort of crusty and sort of crunchy. They get a hard scale on them. And once they're at that point, once they're crunchy, that's a female scale is the one that attaches to the plant. And that female has died and it's gone crunchy on the outside. But underneath is a cluster of new eggs that are ready to hatch and to crawl out from underneath that scale and cover the tree. So anytime you're finding those, definitely removal is the way to go. And I sometimes use a cloth and just wipe the leaves and clean them. I'm acting like I'm just giving the whole plant a nice damp cloth and wiping it down. But like you say, with a big plant like that, it's an adventure.
Yep. Sometimes a little rubbing alcohol, very carefully applied, will as you're washing, will help too. And it has been known not to hurt the plant. It's something that's recommended over the years. Q-tip sometimes with a little bit of rubbing alcohol on it helps too. Okay.
All righty. Okay. Well, I've got
Pam.
my assignment. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling, Pam.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All righty.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
And now, are we going to go to Colleen? Yeah, we're going to go to Colleen. Good morning, Colleen.
Hello.
Good morning.
I'm having a real poinsettia problem. And, I've watered it so carefully with a spray bottle and not dumped water on it. And I've got in a good, bright, south-facing window, but it's dying. And I just wonder if there's anything I can do to get it to survive.
Now, Colleen, is this a new plant to you this year?
It is. It came from Costco, and it was bought on the 23rd of November.
Okay.
And
well, the biggest issue with poinsettias is root disease, and more than likely that's what's going on there. They're very subject to root disease. We grew 15,000 of those babies every year, and we were constantly concerned with root disease. We always had to make sure there was good drainage. We made sure that we let them go slightly dry between watering so that they looked soft, get that soft look to them, and then a good soaking when we did water them. That root disease is what. Now, sometimes these plants come in a sleeve that has a no hole in the bottom, right?
Oh, I see,
and that is just inviting root disease on poinsettias. So that's what I'm thinking you've got, Colleen. You may not be able to recover from this, but I would make sure that you get your sleeve. If you have a sleeve on there, make sure it's got good drainage. And you might even pop the pot off and let two things you can do. Pop the pot off and let it sit there just in its bare root ball. And,
okay.
And is it a large plant or a 6-inch pot?
Oh, it's no, it's very large.
Oh, it's a big
Quite
plant.
large.
Okay, so you don't
Yeah.
maybe do this because it might have the large plants might have 2 or 3 plants in there, and if you try and take them apart, the whole thing might fall apart.
Yeah, well, it does
yeah.
have a few plants.
Yeah. However, maybe you're at the point now where that might be good for it to separate those plants. I don't know how much work you want to put into this, but I mean, it could be the end of the day for that poinsettia. You may want to grab another one. They're kind of inexpensive nowadays, so yeah.
Basically, I'm thinking about taking it back, and I was wondering if anybody else has had any problems with Costco poinsettias.
Well, they're probably fine when they come into Costco. They're probably just fine. They come from the grower, they go into Costco or any other store, whether it's a garden center or a big box store, and they grow them by the thousands, and they're probably just fine when they come in. But they take a little bit of care, special care. As Ken and I have said so often, poinsettias need to be let grow, go a little bit dry between waterings, and when you do water them heavy. And they often will still have those sleeves on them in the store. And the caregiver that's supposed to be looking after the plants goes along, waters. Oh, got to water the plants. Water. The plants sit in water. Yes, I don't see a problem taking it back to the store and saying, I'm having trouble with this. They'll give you another one. I'm sure they will. That's the way things go. But it's not like Costco is going to have the only problematic poinsettias. You have to make sure when you buy your poinsettia, it looks fresh. It hasn't been sitting on the shelf for a long time.
Well, you look at the red bracts on the top, and then right in the very center of those red bracts, there's these little blooms in the middle.
Right, I see them.
Yeah, and those little blooms, when they're fresh, they haven't bloomed yet, so they're like a little green berry almost.
Right.
And then as they start to go, they start to open up, and they get these little sort of golden little tips on them, the little stamens. Those are the actual flowers. These big red things are just bracts. They're just leaves that have modified to attract insects, I think, to the center part. And so it's the center part is what tells you the freshness of a poinsettia. So look at those little flowers in the middle, and hopefully they haven't opened yet. So they're like little green balls and ready to open and ready to do their bloom. If they're already opened up, and then the little, the little flowers have already spent and finished, and you know that it's gone past. It's not that primo. It's still good, but it's not as good.
Yeah, the worst case scenario is they aren't even there because they've already dropped off, which they can drop off prematurely. Yeah. They can drop off prematurely because of So getting a fresh plant at the start is very, very important, Colleen.
Oh, I see.
Okay. So get to know what is a fresh poinsettia and what isn't. And sometimes they can be, as I call them, a dead plant walking.
Oh, okay then. Thanks a lot.
You betcha. Thanks, Colleen. Appreciate the call.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
And on that note, we are going to have to take a short break, and we invite your calls, 250-862-2525, and we will be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Yeah, we're back on a sunny Saturday morning. It's almost like spring. We look outside. You could just about get out there and plant the tomatoes this morning. Darn near.
Well, yeah, it's too early for snow peas. We have no snow.
Yeah. But I would suggest it would be fun for people if there's a challenge, and see what happens. You avid gardeners out there that love your garden, find a little spot, plant some peas, see what happens.
Oh yeah, they would be fine actually.
Yeah.
Providing it doesn't go to like -20 overnight or something. But
I might just try that just for fun.
I had some pea plants, and they dropped some peas, and then those peas germinated and grew, and they grew about 2 inches high, and that was back in October. They were about 2 inches high, and I'm not sure what they're
this
up
year?
to. Yeah.
Oh, it'll be fun to watch.
Well, I'd imagine they're probably growing. I'm going to have to go up there and have a look.
Yeah.
Peas love to grow in cold temperature.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what they're famous for. They're one of the best cold crops because they love to grow when it's cold.
Yeah, and quite often we plant them too late in the year and they don't do well. Sweet peas as well. I'm going to plant some sweet peas, darn it. I wonder if I can find some seed. You got any sweet peas? Have you got any sweet pea seeds that you can loan me? Or not
Possibly.
loan me, give me. You'd have to give them to me.
Yeah.
I'll get them right back to you, Ken. You loan me some sweet pea seeds, I'll give them right back.
Yeah, I'm sure we have tons of seed there. We haven't planted any. We haven't had much success with sweet peas in the Okanagan. It's not they're not as good as they are like in Salmon Arm. They're excellent, and
Prairies.
down at the coast they're excellent. On the prairies they seem to be good.
Yeah.
In the Okanagan I haven't had really great success for some reason. Must be the heat.
Yeah, my buddy Charlie Faulkner always had his sweet peas. They were a specific variety that his mother had got years ago.
Oh, okay.
And every year he'd plant them by his shed in the backyard. And I've got pictures of them. Nice bicolored sweet pea. Interesting. I'd like to. I wish I would have talked to him before he passed, and we could have got those sweet pea seeds that he had stashed. Whatever happened to them.
Keep them going.
Nice. Yeah, keep them going.
Mm.
Anyway, 250-862-2525 to get through to Ken and I this morning. We went a little long on the last caller, which is fine. We love talking to people, but we would like to talk to you as well. So just give us a call because we do have to take a short break as time goes on here. We want to catch up to get it back on track as far as the timing goes. We want to, again, mention that next week is our very special family Christmas garden show. Going to do some preparation this week on it. And there'll be music, there'll be chat, there'll be talking about the year past and the various successes and failures of the year. That's what gardening's all about. Every year is a little different. Nice nowadays with the digital camera scene that you can take lots of pictures and have.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going to start doing at the end of the year, do a PowerPoint presentation every year of the garden and what went on in the garden, what I did building things and what I did various other projects and things. It's amazing what you do in a year. And it's amazing how fast the years flip by, too. So it'd be fun to do that. Now, we are now going back to the phone lines. And, we've got Silva's on the line. Good morning, Silva's.
Good morning. Hello. There we are. Oh, maybe we've got the name.
I think someone has their radio on.
Yep. Better turn the radio down. We've got a little feedback going on. There we go. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We're going to have to get you to call back when you have your radio turned down, Silvas, because that just doesn't work. We got a little bit of feedback going on there. A delay might be, whatever. We can't even do that. 250-862-2525 to get through to us, and we can carry on here. Beautiful morning, a beautiful day, and it doesn't feel like Christmas, but Christmas, Christmas is around the corner. So
the clouds have parted, and the sun is beautiful out there. There's hardly a cloud in the sky.
You bet. And we've got Terry has joined us. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you two doing?
We are 100%.
Very good, thanks.
I've been listening to this show since I moved to Kelowna, and I enjoy it every Saturday.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
My question today is Christmas cactus. Mm-hmm. I can never get it to go past the first short time after I bring it home, and the little buds just start falling off and nothing happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing or not doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. What I find with the Christmas cactus group is that how we get them to bloom is through cool nights. So if we had a plant for years and years, like if you bring one home from a store, there's quite a bit that goes on between the store, the drive home, and then we get it into the house. And then, of course, your temperatures and humidity, everything is sort of different, and sometimes they will drop buds. But the plant is still a good plant, and it's still good to go for the next year. So the key with that is that once you get into the fall, into September, you need to cool the nights down. And what I do is I actually grow them outside, like a house plant outdoors, like in a covered area where it's nice and cool through the summertime in shady location.
Okay.
And then as we get into September, the nights naturally cool down. So we get the nights going down to that maybe 10 or 8 degrees at night, or even 5 degrees Celsius. So it's cooling right down at night. And that's what really triggers the plant to form buds. So it doesn't form the buds outside, but it matures and the whole plant slows down. And the watering is one of the key things as well. So we cool it down. It's starting to form buds. Then we can bring it into the house. We keep our night temperatures cool, which we normally would do. Ideally, we have programmable, thermostats in the house, so we can keep the nights cool and the days warm. But that's what the plants really thrive on, is that relatively bright light, cool nights, regular daytime temperatures, the normal 20 degrees or so, 21. And the watering is one of the keys, is that if we treat it like a cactus, like a desert cactus, it's not going to be too happy. So we want to make sure that the plant gets relatively regular waterings through the blooming period. So it doesn't like to go too dry when it's in flower. And so when it starts to form buds, we just check it with our finger, and if it's moist, it's good. And then as soon as you feel it starting to dry out, we give it another shot of water, give it a good soak, and then it's good again until it starts to dry out again. So that's really the key, is sort of cool nights, and then this watering relatively regularly through the blooming period. And once it finishes blooming, it kind of slows down again a little bit, and then in the spring it starts to grow. And whenever it's growing, if it's super happy and growing, it's not really going to flower much, because those new leaves don't produce flower buds.
Okay.
Now, can I add to this? Because one of the big things too is humidity. In the Okanagan, the houses are dry. Mm-hmm. We have dry homes, and the Christmas cactus, the Schlumbergia, is a tropical forest cactus. It's not a desert cactus, as Ken was saying. And so humidity is a big factor. And a lack of humidity, I think, is quite a contributing factor in bud drop, in losing your buds, losing your blooms sooner than you should. So I'm going to suggest, now when I say this, I always am very careful about saying it, because a lot of people sit their plants in saucers. When I say put a saucer of water underneath the plant, I don't want that saucer, I don't want the water to be touching your pot. So you want to put something in there, a couple of sticks of wood or some pebbles or something in there to keep the pot out of the water. But having that saucer of water under your plant, and even going to the point of putting a plastic bag over that whole scenario at night, and then taking it off in the daytime, and that creates this humidity around the plant, and that can sometimes solve some of your problems.
Oh, okay. I guess it just seems like I buy it every year,
right,
and then bring it in, and within, I might get one, like I want it to flower.
Yep.
Like, how do I keep it? How do I get those little buds to flower now?
Yeah. Well, Ken went through most of that, but I think you can add to try and get some humidity going too.
Okay.
I think the humidity might be helpful too.
Okay, sounds good.
And
Thank you.
I just my little story on Christmas cactus was that last February, as we do every year, we stop in to see Brian Minter on the way back from the Seattle show. It's almost like the climax of the show is to come in and go and get into Brian Minter's garden center and see what he has to offer there, because at the end of February every year he's loaded, and so I bought 3 4-inch pots of Christmas cactus. Because of my new greenhouse, I wanted to play around. So I got home, I put these 4-inch cactus into 6-inch pots, and grew them through. And the 3 of them, they're 3 unique colors. One's quite a white, one is a kind of a pink, and one is a fuchsia color. And the white bloomed first. The fuchsia has bloomed second. It's in full bloom right now in our living room. And the pink one is just about to come on to bloom, which is kind of interesting how they came on in stages. But they're in full bloom. When I brought them from the greenhouse, which is humid and ideal conditions for the plant, brought them into the house, they aren't lasting as long as I'd like to see them last. And Ken's absolutely right. They have to have their moisture.
Right.
I put mine into quite a sandy mix, and so the pot felt heavy, and I thought it was quite moist, but it was the sand that was causing the weight of the pot, and the blooms started to kind of get soft, and so I put it in the sink and just soaked it. And it has popped back nicely for me, so I'm enjoying it. But I know your problem, Terry. They just want to go backwards when you get them from the store and bring them into your dry home. And I think that humidity thing might make sense. Okay,
might make sense.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You're very welcome,
Thanks
Terry. And thank you for calling.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
And we are going to take a short break here. 250-862-2525 to get through to us today. We'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden. We are back with you on look at the sunshine, Ken. This is ridiculous, actually. This is ridiculous. I got no jacket. Thank goodness I can get outside and walk and with no jacket. I saw a male person, a lady mail carrier the other day, and she's carrying mail with her T-shirt on. She's walking along. She's got the 2 bags hanging off her, and she's got a T-shirt on.
Yeah,
it was beautiful.
For December, that's
we got to milk it. We got to milk it. We got to milk this and enjoy it very much. Yeah,
I think if the weather's right, I'm definitely going to do some gardening in and about on Christmas, and I'm looking forward to it.
I want to be able to say to my friends, mind you, they have great weather in Alberta too. It's a little rough back east, but Alberta's have pretty good weather. We're going to welcome Peter to the line. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Dawn and Ken.
Good morning.
Morning. Don, just a quick little history here in Kelowna. I do remember as a young lad listening to you, and I think it was Rick Masalem, and I'm trying to remember the rest of the band, the Shadracks. Is that correct?
Well, they're old guys, Peter. That was they were my mentors. They were my mentors, the Shadracks. In fact, we're going to have Craig McCaw from the Shadracks call in at Christmas time. At our next week. I'm going to get him to get Craig to phone in. He was the member of the Shadracks that went on to fame with the Poppy family.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Good. Look, anyway, I've just recently retired, and I'm trying to get some more time in the garden and so on, and we save a lot of our kitchen waste, obviously not meats and things, but vegetables and all that sort of thing, eggshells. And so we've got quite an accumulation of a real wet, kind of a nasty mess, and I bought a little chipper mulcher that I'm going to put some leaves and maybe some small little branch pieces and stuff into it. Any suggestions as to try to create some good compost with those materials?
Well, you mentioned leaves, and you mentioned other materials from the garden. The leaves, of course, are something that Ken often mentions is something you create leaf mold from. Mind you, you can put them in the compost. It doesn't matter. You can still put leaves in the compost. But you can make some pretty delicious stuff with a different composting. You use various organisms, and leaf mold, you use a different organism, more of a fungi. Am I correct, Ken? Am I correct when I'm saying that, with leaf mold?
Yes. Yeah. And in your case, you've got vegetable waste, right?
Yeah.
Which is it's not really exactly the same. It's a different thing because you got fruits and other things in there, and that's where it's just up to the individual if it's something you want to try. But remember the worm bins or worm cultivation, and worms just love to have that type of food supply. So that sometimes is something that you can do, and it makes beautiful worm castings, of course, which are great for the garden. So, that's one thing. But Don was saying, just mixing it up with your regular compost. But when you're doing active composting, that's where you usually need something green to add into it. So that would be your lawn clippings, ideally.
Okay.
And you blend it in, and the lawn clippings get nice and hot, and it sort of cooks everything together. And layering in some of the garden leaves as well is always nice. But just not overdoing it, because you have to have a lot of green to counteract all this other stuff that's not green, right? So you have the greens and the not greens.
Okay, so a little bit of the vegetable matter, and then I've got lots of saving grass clippings and leaves and different piles, and so I guess I can spread it out. And
it's like making stew.
Yeah, it's like making stew.
But I love the fact you've got yourself a chopper or mulcher, because that really gets it down. The smaller the bits and pieces, the faster things are going to break down and rot. So, no, that's a great investment.
Great. Well, I appreciate your time. I always like listening to your show when I have the chance.
Thank you, Peter. We appreciate it. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. Bye-bye. Yeah, love the composting. That's for sure.
I love composting too, and compost tea is something else a person could start thinking about. We're going to go back to the lines, and we've got Addie on the line. Good morning, Addie.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
We are well.
Good, thanks.
Good. What a gorgeous day. I just planted about 12 new bulbs that I just bought because it's too warm not to garden.
I bet you Bill's out golfing today.
No, actually, he isn't. He's actually at work.
There you go.
All good husbands should be.
That's right. That's right. Bring in home the bacon.
Last week, Don, when you had, his name escapes me.
Yep, Dan Bruce.
The fellow from Fintry, Dan Bruce. When you had him on, he mentioned the name of a rose that blooms first thing in the spring and blooms till like now. You wouldn't happen to have that name, would you?
I can call Dan and find out. I can't remember the name of that rose.
Well, it was a real funny long name, and of course I tried to write it down, and it sounded like nothing that he said. So I thought maybe you had the.
It was one of Dan is a unique rose aficionado in the fact that he doesn't own a hybrid tea. He might own one, but he won't admit it. And he is more of a species type rose grower who grows all sorts of different British roses and things like that are kind of different. And the way he grows them is different too, because he'll let them just climb and crawl all over the place. He doesn't prune them way back like we do. Now, this particular rose is something unique to him, because normally his roses have their period of bloom. They bloom for a short period of time, and then they're done, and you wait next year to get the same bloom. This one starts in the spring and doesn't stop, and it's still in bloom for him. When he was on the show last week, it was still in bloom. So, Addie, I can get you that. I just he mentioned the name, and darn it, I didn't write it down, unfortunately. And
Great. Now, my other question is, I've cleared a big spot in front of our on the side of our house where I would like to put in some plants besides roses that bloom most of the summer. They could be shrubs, they could be whatever. Have you got any idea, or can you?
You're talking about a rose that would bloom all through?
No, not roses. No, it could
other
be
than
anything.
roses.
I like a mixture of different plants. I want to make them quite interesting. Like I like the plant that is out now with the orange berries still on it. What is that plant?
Pyracantha.
Is that what it is?
It could be. It could be a pyracantha, orange berries.
Cotoneasters,
mate. Yeah.
Probably pyracantha. They're the one that's the most, they call it firethorn, and it's quite common. It's a little bit larger shrub.
Has it still got leaves on it?
No, it doesn't have leaves on it. It's just got berries now, but they're so thick you can hardly see the branches.
Oh, really?
I'm talking about a neighbor, the guy across the street. He's got one of those, and they absolutely look great. And I asked him what it was, and he said, he inherited when he bought the house.
Well, take a picture and send it to us, Addie. We can identify it for you.
Okay, what other plants would be like something that's colorful?
So, and that through the summer, right?
Yeah.
Well,
through the summer. Spring, it could be spring, summer, fall. It could be divided. I just want to create something different.
A lot of the plants, such as the salvia, the blue salvia, and the rudbeckias and various other plants that bloom through the summer, do perform better if you prune them back after the first bloom. You prune them back, and they, what happened? And they come back on, and they bloom prolifically through there. If you just don't cut them back after that first bloom, they come on sporadically here and there, and they will keep blooming for you. But June is the big time for all this color, and if you cut these plants back, then they will rebloom through the summer, which is a good. That methodology is good.
Even the rudbeckias, are they very similar to what the? I know some of my daisies do that.
It stimulates blossom when you cut these things back.
Yeah, and you might look at you've been experienced with different types of annuals. And annuals are always one way to get color throughout the year, right?
I wanted perennials, though. I mean, I've got enough marigolds and all that kind. I wanted perennials, and I wanted more a shrub type.
Yeah, sort of shrubby stuff. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of good perennials out there that will bloom a lot, but in the shrub categories, each one sort of has its bloom timing, and so you sort of pick and choose whether you want to do spring, summer, or fall. And there's not a huge amount of things that bloom throughout the season. I like to work with foliage colors. I do a lot of the dwarf shrubs.
Yeah, I've got a burning bush in there, but I want it, and that's okay if it blooms just in the spring, and then another one blooms just in the summer, and a third one blooms. I just want to have flowers in that area from April till December.
Well, here's the thing too, Addie. Yeah. We said no roses, but that's your best bang for your buck for summer color in a shrub are your roses, because there's some that bloom prolifically through the summer. And they
I have about 5 roses, and I don't think I want any more. I've got one rose bush there that is going to be in there, but then I wanted something different as well.
Do you have any of the Morden varieties? Morden, M-O-R-D-E-N.
Yes,
Morden,
I do.
Because those are fabulous for that. Now, the other thing is some of the barberries, some of the dwarf barberries, the golden ones and some of the purple foliage ones, then they have berries and whatnot. They're pretty good. I've got a couple of Royal Burgundies, 3 Royal Burgundy barberries, and I'm really enjoying them right now, in particular because they've got those berries still on them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got a couple of those too, and the leaves are gone, but the berries are still there, and they are very colorful, and the berries stay on, I think, most of the winter until the wind knocks them off.
You can think of also some of the new Weigelas that are good. There's a bunch of new proven winter ones that are coming on the market that are longer blooming. And I like the variegated leaf ones. There's one called My Monet, and that's quite pretty.
I've got that one, and I've got the Wine and Roses one.
Yeah. My Monet gives you the foliage too, right? So it comes out quite pink in the spring, and then it's variegated through the summer, and then fall colors blooming in the spring, and then more in the fall, and sporadic through the summer. But it's not they're not really like strong bloomers. But it's difficult.
As long as
there's
they're
really
color.
Yeah, you don't usually get plants that bloom all the time. I can tell you one plant that I do in the perennial category that blooms spring till fall, and that's the they used to call it the polygonum. Now it's called Persicaria affinidimnity, I think it's called. Affinis. So it's called
easy for you to say.
Yeah, so it's called the fleece flower.
The peace flower?
Fleece.
F-L-E.
Fleese, I think. Fleece
flower.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so the persicarias are all long blooming plants. They're low. These ones are low growing. That particular one I mentioned is a low growing one, but it does bloom. I've got pictures of it blooming in April, and I've got pictures of it blooming in December. So it really blooms throughout the year nonstop.
So
but it's probably the only plant that would bloom that long. Now there are taller versions that are quite prolific, but they can get quite tall. And there's a couple medium ones. But think about that. Persicarias, very vigorous, very strong bloomers. The one, Finis is what it's called. They call it the low-growing fleece flower. And they're unbelievable. Just bloom, bloom, bloom. And great in the wintertime. Keeps their leaves through the winter.
And you buy it in the spring at the different nurseries?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when you get it, yeah.
That was
super. Thank you very much, guys. I won't be able to listen to you next weekend because we're out of town.
Okay.
But I want to wish you and your families all the best.
Thank you, Addie.
Merry Christmas, first of all, and then all the best in 2019.
Thank you, dear. We appreciate it. All the best to you, too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Addie. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Now that was the penultimate plant for Addie.
Yep.
The one I want to mention is the hibiscus morshutus, and that blooms all season. It starts, for me, in June and doesn't stop till the frost
you've got
comes.
a different type, don't you? Which one do you
Hibiscus morshutus Summer Storm.
Oh, Summer Storm.
And it blooms. It never stops. It just blooms. It's got blooms 6 inches wide.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
And it blooms right through the season, right through into fall.
Mine's the later blooming one, but it's big, huge blooms.
Yeah, amazing.
Late. Yep.
And
nice.
So we enjoy that all summer long.
Yep.
Okay, we are going to, we're not going to take a short break because we're going to take a long break after we finish the show here today. But I just want to mention again our, we're just about ready to finish? No.
We just missed our break.
Missed the break. Oh, well, we better do that. Let's do that break, and we'll be back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. You betcha, and we've got just enough time here to shut her down, but don't worry, because next week we've got 3 hours of rip-roaring Christmas garden show, family garden show. We're going to have lots of guests phone in, lots of surprise guests, and we're just going to enjoy the day. And, it's been a great year for the garden show, and nice to cap it off next week with a 3-hour extravaganza, as they call it.
Yeah, extravaganza.
So this is the pentultimate garden show for the year. The pentultimate, meaning the last before the end one, the last one. The second last.
Second to last, yeah.
There we go.
And then we're going to take off the show that's
following, between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah. And then we'll be back on again right after that for the
traditionally
another
that's what we
New
do.
Year.
We better tell the station that we're not going to be here too. I guess we should tell the boss. Eh?
Yeah, better
let
pass
the boss
that on.
know. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're getting to the words that we should do the tips and plants of the week, Ken.
You betcha.
Well, my tip of the week is, and we talked about this through the show a little bit about indoor plants and concerns. One of the concerns is some of the hitchhikers you bring in from outside. You've got the plants outside in the summer, bring them in the winter, you might bring some hitchhikers in. So have a close look. Now's a good time to do that. Have a close look under the leaves of the plants you brought in from outside. And if you need to, like I need to, you have a little magnifying glass or something, you can really have a close look. See if there's any hitchhikers coming in. My plant of the week this week is Muscari grape hyacinth, the wonderful grape hyacinth that normally blooms in April, and mine is in bloom right now in the garden.
Interesting. Well, I also have a tip and a plant. My tip of the week is mow your lawn. No, sorry.
Yeah, right. Get out and mow the lawn.
Almost warm enough. No, actually, just get out and inspect your trees. Have a look at broken branches. There are branches that might be dangerous hanging. Hangers are always dangerous. You got to keep an eye open for those. And if they are found, call your local arborist to come and remove them carefully. And my plant of the week is the grand fir, just one of my favorite Christmas trees. It's just beautiful and fragrant and just one of the great ones. Also known as a balsam fir is another name for it. And that's my tips and plants for this week. Remember to check KelownaGardens.com.
And my Shigo quote of the week this week is, education is a race to reach higher states of ignorance. There we go. That's Shigo. And we'll see you next week with more AM 1150 Garden Show.